think that should do it. Yes, I think you should be able to hear me now. I'm just going to wait a little bit until we get to that point. Um, wait, the sound is coming. Eventually, well, actually, hopefully you can hear me now. We'll see. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Yes, I think you can hear me now. Let me turn the volume up to a normal level as well. Technical difficulties after taking a little bit of a break from YouTube. So I'm just going to wait a few seconds to hear if the audio level is good now, and then we will get started. It's a little loud now, isn't it? Check 1 2, check 1 2. Awesome. Should we start again? Let's start again. Pretend that nothing happened and the lesson is starting now. We'll start in about 52 seconds. Hey, it's good to be back on YouTube doing these live lessons. I'm happy that all of you are here. 228 people already. That's always a little shocking to me. We'll start in about 36 seconds. I am just going to double check a couple of other things. I'm a little bit, out of rhythm, I guess you would say. I need to get back into the rhythm of doing these kinds of things. Hi to Ralph and Vitor and Filippo and Mohammed and Omran and Martin and Lolly and Hafiez and Freddie Wolf. Good to see all the familiar names. Hi to Sam Wu, Katsura, Winnie. We'll start in about 10 seconds, everybody. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about kitchen appliances. Now, I don't know how many of you spend time in the kitchen. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I firmly believe that anyone who likes to eat, like me, should know how to make food. So I am quite familiar with how to make a variety of different things. And in order to make things in the kitchen, you use a number of appliances. So appliances, first of all, are not utensils. Utensils are things like forks and spoons and knives. But appliances are the machines that you use. They're usually things that you plug in, and then they help you prepare the food or cook the food. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about kitchen appliances. Well, I'm glad we were able to get started with very few problems. I'm glad I was able to troubleshoot them quickly. As you know, I took a couple weeks off because I was sick. In fact, I do have my little thing here. A couple of weeks ago, I made the video where I was teaching you how to describe symptoms. It was a Sunday morning and I was getting a little bit of a stuffed up nose and a bit of a sore throat. And then by Tuesday of that week, I thought I should do a COVID test because I did not feel well at all. To make a long story short, I took an entire week off work. I've never done that before in my life, partly because of restrictions here. If you have COVID, you can't go back to work. And then after I was done, then I got a really bad cough and a really bad sore throat. You could probably still hear it a little bit. My voice is a little gravelly, but I am feeling much better every day. Good enough to do a live English lesson this morning. So welcome to this English lesson about appliances. Hey, if you have a question, please make sure I am going to cough for a sec. I'm going to go over here and cough. Sorry, that's a minor version of what my cough sounded like last week. Anyways, if in the chat, if a member was to do !link, then hopefully, Nightbot will come and post the link for all of you, although I haven't seen Nightbot yet. I hope Nightbot hasn't taken the day off. We'll have to see. We might have to rely on me posting the link manually or members posting the link manually. By the way, the link, if you want to ask a question, is below in the description. So if you do need to find it, you can go there and have a look if Nightbot doesn't post it. Let me get a copy of it for a moment. There, we'll put it here. Let me see here. Copy. Paste. There we go. I might just have to paste that in manually from time to time as we do the lesson. Let me do one more audio check, and then we will get the lesson started. I have too much junk on my desk this morning. I should have cleaned my desk as well. Yep, awesome. Okay, let's get started. I was going to say something else, wasn't I? I said hi to a bunch of people. You know, it is kind of funny when I do these every Friday. It's like a nice routine. And when I take a break, I forget a little bit about how I actually do it. But anyways, let's get this lesson started. A blender. So a blender is something that you use to blend different ingredients together. Notice the name blender also relates to the verb to blend. So for us, we primarily use our blender to make something called a smoothie. We'll put frozen bananas, frozen peaches, frozen spinach, frozen strawberries, and a little bit of water in the blender, and then we will make a smoothie out of it. So a smoothie is when you take frozen fruit and you blend it together to make kind of like a nice cold drink. That's also a little bit healthy for you. Although some people think that smoothies aren't as healthy as they should be because you're not chewing the fruit. But we definitely use our blender quite often. We buy peaches in the summer and slice them and freeze them. And then we also have usually bananas and strawberries and spinach. The spinach is the green part to make the smoothie a bit healthier. So a blender used to make blended drinks. There's also something called a juicer. We do not have a juicer. A juicer is something you use where you put fruits and vegetables in, and all of the juice from the fruit and vegetables comes out one side so that you can drink it, and then all of the rest of the fruit or vegetable comes out the other side so you can, I guess, compost it. I don't actually use a juicer because if I'm going to have fruit, I want all of the fruit. I want to eat the fruit so that I get not just the juice, but the rest of the fruit as well, because I think that is very, very healthy. But a juicer is a machine that's used to get the juice out of fruit and vegetables. Coffee maker. This is something I used to use a lot more, but I don't drink coffee anymore. Coffee is this wonderful hot beverage that people drink sometimes in the morning. Because it wakes them up, it gives them energy because coffee has caffeine in it. A coffee maker is something where you put water into the coffee maker, you put a coffee filter in, and you put your coffee grounds in, and then you push a button and the water heats up, goes through the coffee grounds, and makes you a nice cup of coffee. So anyways, a coffee maker, something that some people can't live without. We have 2 coffee makers, and both of them are in our cupboard, and we only take them out when someone visits and wants a cup of coffee. So we don't use them very often. A kitchen timer. So our kitchen timer is actually digital, but this is a very traditional kitchen timer. You turn the timer. Let's say you have decided to bake bread, and it says put the bread in the oven for 35 minutes. You would turn the timer to 35 minutes. You would set the timer, and then 35 minutes later, the timer would go off. The timer would go ding, and you know it's time to take the bread out of the oven. Very, very handy. Kitchen timers are very handy. If you follow the recipe closely, it will tell you how long you need to cook or bake something, and you can use the kitchen timer to do that. So you set the timer, and when the time is up, the timer will go off. It will go bing, and then you know it's time to stop cooking what you're cooking. A kettle. So this is something we do actually use a lot. In fact, I think this is the exact kettle we have in our kitchen. I like it because it's clear. A kettle is something that you use to boil water. If you like to drink tea, or if you like to drink hot chocolate, you will have a kettle in your kitchen, and you will put water in the kettle, and you will turn the kettle on. Some people say put the kettle on. We usually say turn the kettle on. And then after a while, the water will boil. It will start to bubble violently. And you know that the water has gotten hot enough that you can make tea and you can make coffee. So a kettle is a very, very common thing to find in kitchens, especially in countries where people like to drink tea. Probably that is what it's used for the most often. A bread machine. So this is handy. We have a bread machine in our house. A bread machine will make bread from start to finish. So you put all of your ingredients into the bread machine, and then on the front, you indicate what kind of bread you want it to make. And then it mixes the ingredients, it kneads the dough, it lets the dough rise a couple of times, and then it bakes the bread all inside of one machine. We love our bread machine. We don't always use it just to make bread, but I do know that we've used it probably the most often to make pizza dough. That is the most common use. So instead of letting it finish, we put all the ingredients in to make pizza dough. When the pizza dough is done, we take it out. Sometimes we put it in the fridge for a few hours, and then we will roll it out and we will make a pizza with it. But a bread machine, a very cool machine that you can use to make bread. Hey, let's do some questions. I need a sip of water as well. Mode Egg says, hey, Bob, I'm sorry I can't join the lesson at the moment and just want to check in on you. I hope you're feeling 100% now. Hi to everybody else as well. I think I'm feeling 82%. I'm feeling well enough to do a live stream today, but I'm not planning to do a live stream tomorrow. So let's see here. And Omran says, has anyone seen the kind of video when people mix unusual stuff in a blender to test it? Yeah, those are interesting. Will it blend? I think it's called. But hey, let's look. Let me get a question up here on the screen. I need to do something else as well. Give me one moment here. I don't have my handouts on my other screen. If you're wondering, whenever I look this way, I'm looking at my other screen. K, I need to get down to K. Kitchen appliances. There we go. Okay. So we do have a few questions. Let's see. From Utzel. Utzel says, it's so good to see you. Thanks, Utzel. The air fryer makes it possible to cook less fatty, tasty, and healthy food. Have you tried it, and what do you think about this technology? Bye. I have not, but a lot of my colleagues have air fryers, and they love them. So for those of you that don't know, a deep fryer lets you fry something in hot oil. An air fryer tries to do the same job, but just use air. So the food is healthier when it's done. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but yeah, I'd be curious to try one at some point. Natalia, hi Bob. I have a stove, an oven, a kettle, and an extractor hood. What other 1 or 2 appliances would you recommend I buy? I don't want to have a lot of them. Well, a fridge, but you probably have a fridge. You just forgot to mention it. Most people have a fridge. For me, I do also like a microwave. A microwave is nice for reheating food or for thawing things. So from Kurdish, hi uncle, do you mind sharing some Canadian slang or casual phrases related to kitchen gadgets and appliances? No, but I can't think of any off the top of my head, but some people do like to have the latest thing. So they're always buying the latest thing. I think right now the latest thing is an Instant Pot. And then also some people feel like they have so many appliances, they don't know where to put them all. That's a tricky one as well. From Isa, good morning, Teacher Bob from Columbia. Thank you for all. My question, appliances are amenities? I don't know what amenities mean. So amenities, we usually use amenities in English to talk about what will be provided if you go to a hotel or like an Airbnb, like if you rent a house. We went on a trip a month ago and we stayed at an Airbnb, and some of the amenities were there was parking, there was Wi-Fi, there was a fridge, there was a stove. So basically when we talk about amenities, it's what you can use in your room you are renting when you are on a trip. From Martin, hi Bob, glad to see you again. You too, Martin. Which is more popular nowadays in Canada, an electric oven or a gas oven? I think both. I would have to check on this one. I'm not 100% sure. We are all electric. My sister has all gas. So I think it varies from place to place. Let's see here. Okay. So I'll answer this one. I did skip a couple questions because they weren't related to the topic of kitchen appliances, but I can make this one relate. Alessio says, do you have some suggestions about watching TV shows in English? How can we improve the comprehension? Little fix there. So what I would recommend is that you watch some cooking shows. It is a very popular type of show in North America, and I think in Britain as well. I think if you do a search, you can find some videos on YouTube where people teach you how to cook in English. I would definitely watch those to go along with this lesson. So let's see here. In the chat, Key Park says, hi Bob, sorry I'm late, no problem. Marco says, watching from Brazil, very cool. Key Park says, long time no see, are you all right? I think talking to Lolly. And Edwell says, hi Bob, I'm Edwell from Brazil. It's my first time here. Good to see you. Good to see all of the familiar faces. Hey, I'm going to get back to the lesson. We're going to keep moving along here. My voice is doing well, but we don't want to push things too far. So let's keep on trucking. A toaster. This is very common. This is an appliance that most people leave on their counter all the time. We don't put our toaster away because we use our toaster so much that would just be silly. A toaster is something where you can put bread in a toaster or bagels. I think these are bagels. Bagels are like a round form of bread. And then it will make it hot and crispy and it will turn brown a little bit. It's really nice when you toast bread and then when it comes out as toast, and you put butter on it, the butter will melt and it just makes for a yummy, crispier form of bread. We also use the toaster quite a bit if our bread is a little bit stale. You know, bread tastes really good when it's fresh, but after a day or two, it might be a little bit stale, but it will still taste really good if you toast it. So a toaster, you put the toaster down, the toaster will eventually pop up and the bread will be hopefully just right. A microwave, so I did mention this one. A microwave is a way to reheat food or cook food really, really quickly. A microwave uses microwaves. It actually shoots microwaves at the food. And this causes I think the moisture in the food to get hot. And that by its very nature heats up the rest of the food. We use our microwave mostly for reheating food. If I come home late from work and Jen and the kids have already eaten, there's usually a plate of food in the fridge and I will reheat the food in the microwave. We also use it to thaw things. If something is frozen and you need it to be thawed quickly, you can thaw it in the microwave. Very, very handy tool or appliance. So this is a slow cooker and we sometimes call it a crockpot. This is designed to cook food, usually meat or soups or stews or chili, but it's made to cook it really, really slowly. If you're familiar with cooking meat, some of the cheaper cuts of meat aren't very tender. But if you cook them in a slow cooker, if you cook them for 5 or 6 hours at a lower temperature, it will make the meat a lot more tender and easier to eat. We use our slow cooker often to cook chicken as well because it's just very simple. You put a chicken in the slow cooker, you turn it on, and then a few hours later, the chicken is done. It's important to check the temperature though when you cook a chicken. So a slow cooker, generally used to cook food over a long period of time, maybe 4 hours or 6 hours or even 8 hours, and usually used to cook meat. And then there's something called an Instant Pot. We do not have an Instant Pot, but generally this is used to cook a variety of foods very quickly because I think it cooks them under pressure. I think the lid locks on and the Instant Pot is able to cook using heat as well as pressure. I don't actually know a lot about Instant Pots, although a couple of colleagues of mine have Instant Pots and they love them. And they keep telling me that I should buy one. A toaster oven. So I'm not sure if you've seen one of these. These are very common. These are very common with college students or university students. A toaster oven is a very, very small oven. You can't cook or bake a lot in a toaster oven, but you can reheat things or you can cook some frozen food. So that's one of the reasons it's popular with university students. It's very small. They might live in an apartment that doesn't have an oven, and so they might buy a small toaster oven. You can use it to make toast, but mostly people use it to make frozen pizza or to heat up like small meat pies. It is a small oven that you can plug into the wall and use it to cook, bake, or heat up food. And then there's also something called a waffle iron. There we go. Something called a waffle maker or waffle iron. It has two names. Basically, what you do is you make a batter and you plug the waffle maker or waffle iron into the wall and it heats up. And you pour the batter in and you close the lid for a minute or two. And when you open it, there's a beautiful lightly brown waffle ready to eat. If you don't know what a waffle is, you make a batter from flour and water and eggs and sugar and a bit of oil. It's similar to a pancake batter, so you can scoop it with a ladle and pour it. So you put some of the waffle batter into the waffle maker, close the lid, and then a little while later you have a yummy waffle. And you can put some butter or margarine and syrup on it, and it's very, very tasty. This is what we call a mixer or hand mixer. So sometimes when you're making a cake, you put all of the ingredients into a bowl. You put all the dry ingredients in, like flour and sugar and cocoa maybe, and salt. And then you maybe pour all the liquid ingredients in, like water or milk and eggs and oil. And then you will use a mixer or hand mixer to mix all the ingredients together. Generally, you don't use a mixer to make things like bread because that dough is very sticky. But if you are making a cake or you're making muffins or cupcakes, you're making more of a batter. When I say batter, it means it's something you can pour. It's more of a liquid than a solid. So you would use a mixer or hand mixer to evenly mix all of the ingredients. And this is a stand mixer. We would like a stand mixer, but we do not have one. So if you notice, this mixer is a hand mixer. You hold it with your hand in order to make what you are making. And this is a stand mixer. It has a nice bowl and you put all your ingredients in and you turn it on and it will just on its own mix what you need to have mixed. Very, very handy, but also a little bit expensive. Maybe someday we'll buy one. We also do not have a scale, but some people who are really good bakers or cooks like to have a scale. So one way to make something is to measure the ingredients. You could use a measuring cup or a measuring spoon, but another way is to weigh the ingredients. Instead of putting in 1 cup of flour, you might put in 6 ounces of flour, or you might put in, I'm trying to think here, like a 1/4 kilogram of flour. I don't know. I don't use a scale, but you might weigh the things that you are putting in. You might weigh the ingredients so that you are more accurate. And then here we have a deep fryer. We talked a little bit about this earlier. A deep fryer is something that has oil in it. The oil is heated up to a certain temperature. Here in Canada, we use Fahrenheit. So you might heat the oil to 300 or 325 or 350 Fahrenheit. And then you will put in a basket the thing you want to deep fry. So it is a verb as well. I'm going to deep fry some French fries, or maybe chicken strips. These look like chicken strips to me. The nice thing about a deep fryer is that whatever you are deep frying gets really crunchy and golden brown. If you deep fry fish or if you deep fry French fries, they come out very crispy and yummy and tasty, but also not exactly the healthiest way to cook food. A deep fryer does use oil and you do end up eating a little bit of a greasy, oily food when you are done, depending on if the oil's hot enough or not as well. A rice cooker. We do not have one of these. My son at university has one of these, and we would love to have a rice cooker. A very, very handy appliance with one job, and its job is to cook rice. So you put water, you put rice, maybe you put salt in, I don't know. I'm not an expert rice cooker user because I don't have one. And then you set the timer, close the lid, and then when it's done, the rice is done and it's all ready to eat. We currently cook rice on the stove in a pan, but sometimes we feel like it would be nice to have a rice cooker, especially if we have people coming over for dinner. It would be nice to have a rice cooker to, because sometimes you don't have enough room on the stove to cook everything. So it would be nice to do a chicken in the crock pot and do rice in a rice cooker. That would be very, very handy. This is a steamer. We have a steamer. We do not use it very often. There are a number of ways to cook something like vegetables. For instance, if you like broccoli or carrots or asparagus, you can cook those by boiling them, but you can also steam them. So instead of putting the vegetables in water, you allow the steam from boiling water to cook the vegetables for you. I really, really like steamed broccoli. It's one of my favorite ways to eat broccoli. Just have it lightly steamed. It turns nice and dark green when you steam the broccoli, but just another way to cook food, usually vegetables, although you can steam fish and other things as well. In fact, I think there might be fish in the bottom tray of this steamer right now. Our steamer doesn't have multiple levels. It just has one level. So, and usually we use it, broccoli, we use it for mostly. A refrigerator. So a refrigerator is a large appliance used for two things. Usually in a standard refrigerator, the bottom is for cold things, usually around 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. And the top is for frozen things, usually kept below 0 or definitely kept below 0. So our fridge looks a lot like this. In the bottom, we keep milk and eggs and margarine and vegetables and the things that you want to keep cold but not frozen. In the top, we keep things like leftovers. By the way, leftovers we often put in our freezer so that you can grab them a couple of days later for lunch. If you don't know what leftovers are, you eat a meal and there's food left over. You didn't eat all the food. So usually, like the other day, we had potatoes and chicken and applesauce and green beans, but we had leftovers. So we make little meals with the leftovers and put them in the freezer, and then I can grab one when I go to work. Again, refrigerator, short form is fridge. We usually just use the word fridge. Very, very handy. Probably one of the coolest modern appliances that I can think of. I really like the fridge. It helps you save money because food doesn't go bad as quickly. Hey, let's do members only chat. And let's also do a few questions from the forum. Let me get over here and figure out how to do members only chat again. There we go. And let me get a question on the screen. Let's see here. This is from Peter. Oh, by the way, if you're a member, you can ask questions directly in the chat right now. Hello, Mr. Bob. I might have asked myself what happens to you, but right now I got it, Mr. Bob. I hope you feel better. May the Lord will touch you deeply and healing you. Well, thank you, Peter. I definitely feel a bit better. But yeah, that was not fun. I had a fever for 4 days. That is not enjoyable. It's never enjoyable being sick, but having a fever for that long was certainly not fun. From Du Nguyen, which appliance do you think consumes the most electricity? For us, it would be either our stove or our oven. So we use an electric stove and we have an electric oven. Those certainly use the most electricity. After that, I would say the toaster. You know, if you look in a toaster, it's using electricity to turn wires red. Like that's a lot of electricity being used there. From Celestrina, hello, Bob. What does a typical Canadian breakfast actually look like? Do you eat buns? In Germany, people like to eat buns. So a typical Canadian breakfast, a lot of people eat cereal with milk. People eat toast. People eat bagels. People might eat oatmeal, which is a hot cereal. So it's oats with water that you heat up in a pan or in the microwave. You can do that in the microwave as well. Some people do eat a little bit of fruit with breakfast, but it's not as common as it might be in other parts of the world. But yeah, definitely, I would say, and eggs. Sorry, eggs are very, very common. On the weekend, people might do bacon and eggs. They might do a little more of an elaborate breakfast. But yes. From Nastron, thanks for your videos, dear Bob. What is the word for sharpen the knife? I mean the tool. Oh, we would call it a knife sharpener, I think. I'm trying to think. Like as a kid, we had one that you plugged in, and I think we just called it a knife sharpener. You plugged it in, and it went, and then it would go. I remember my dad sharpening the kitchen knives, so I think we would just call it a knife sharpener. Let's see here from the chat. Lolly says, my favorite room is the kitchen because I love cooking. It is fun to cook, isn't it? It is fun to make food, and it is fun to make food for other people as well. This is from Ashraf. Hello, Teacher Bob. Good day. Nice to see you. I am back on your channel after a long time. Well, welcome back. I'm currently in Halifax. How far is Halifax from your place? I would like to meet you. It is really far. You're like half of Canada away from me. I'm in the middle, and you're really, really far away on the East Coast. Probably 15 or 20 hours of driving. Very, very far away. From Kakachen, hi, Teacher Bob. Do you know the reason that French fries are called French fries instead of fried potato? By the way, banana is good to cough. Have a nice day. I've been eating my bananas, by the way. And I don't know why French fries, les frites, I don't know why they're called French fries. I should research that a bit. From the chat. Let's see here. From the chat, we have Filippo. Hi, Teacher Bob. I'm happy that you feel better. Welcome back. Do you like Italian food? If yes, what in particular? Thank you. I like lasagna. I like spaghetti. I like fettuccine Alfredo. I don't know if that's specifically Italian or an American version of an Italian dish. But I'm imagining that most of the Italian food I eat, if I went to Italy and ate the same food, I would like the authentic Italian version a lot better. Freddie Wolf. Bob, I noticed that you use Celsius for the weather temperature, but Fahrenheit in your kitchen. That's a bit bizarre, isn't it? Don't you mix up the temperatures? Yes, it's really, really annoying in Canada. So we have to almost be bilingual when it comes to temperature. So for instance, outside today, it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be somewhat warm in 6 or 7 degrees. I don't actually know what that is in Fahrenheit. But yesterday I did actually make bread. In my French class, we made baguette, by the way. It was very yummy. We actually cooked it or baked it in a toaster oven, which worked. And I had to set the toaster oven to 350 Fahrenheit. So yeah, we kind of almost need to know both. All recipes and all cooking is done in Fahrenheit in Canada. So a little tricky. You don't want to get it wrong. Vitor, Bob, I love your cooking related lessons. They always make me feel hungry. Yes, I'm very hungry right now, actually. I do want to go back and thank Marco for the super sticker or the super chat. And from New Words with MP, hello, sir. How are you? I am doing well. New Words with MP. Good to see you here again. Key Park says, hi, Bob. I'm in Connecticut with my daughter now. I just cooked breakfast for us, so I'm a little late. It's a little unaccounted for me to take this live lesson Friday morning. Yeah, so you're in the same time zone as me right now. That's cool. So it's light outside. An hour ago, it was a little bit dark outside. So you're getting to experience probably the same weather, and you're in the same time zone as me. Very, very cool. Let's see here. From Zed. In America, we would say Z, but in Canada, we say Zed. Are you good at cooking, sir? I'm good enough. I'm not an expert. I can make most things, but when people come to visit, I usually make something simple. Like I can make a really good pizza crust from scratch. So I do that quite a bit. New Words with MP has gifted a membership, and it went to Natalia Illusion. Very cool. Again, I think that's Natalia's second time. Very cool. Wanda says, hi, Teacher Bob. I'm glad that you came back. What's the name of the mixer inside mugs? Oh, so there's two kinds. There's an immersion blender, but there's also something called a frother. So an immersion blender has a blade that spins, and you would put that into a pan to blend soup. A frother has a little wire that wiggles really fast, and you would use that to make your coffee nice and frothy. Let's see. Natalia said, I skipped the refrigerator because I thought it was not the appliances, but the heart of the kitchen. Yeah, we have what are called large appliances and small appliances. I should have made the distinction. So your stove, oven, fridge are considered large appliances, and they often are just part of the kitchen. Sometimes when you buy a house, it will come with a fridge, stove, and oven. They're just there. So yeah, but we call them large appliances. Let's see. Harry 300. Hi, Harry. Bob, I just feel the more you speak, the better your voice is. And as you said that your voice was gravelly now, it sounds better. Hope you're 100% soon. Yes, but it's not good enough to do a live stream tomorrow. I am going to hold off from that. We'll get to that at a certain point. Freddie says, to French is an old Irish verb that meant to cut in pieces. So they Frenched the potatoes. So the English language adopted French fries. I see. I got it. So to French meant to actually slice them. Very cool. Hey, let me turn off members only chat and let's finish off this lesson. Let's get this thing done. Let me check if there are a couple more questions and then we'll get back to it. Nikita, greetings. It's good to see you back. When are you planning to do an online lesson with us? If you mean like an online session with just 5 people on Zoom, I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of just taking it easy until I feel 100% better, and then we will see. A dishwasher. We do not have a dishwasher. I've mentioned this a few times. When our kids all move out, we might get one again, but then there will be so few dishes to do. Jen and I will probably just do them by hand. Anyways, a dishwasher is a large appliance as well. Remember, I talked about large and small appliances. If you miss that, large appliances are things like the fridge, the stove, the oven, the dishwasher. And small appliances would be things like a hand mixer, a toaster. A dishwasher is something that will wash your dishes for you. You put your dishes in, you put some dishwashing soap in, you set whatever cycle you want it to do and you hit start, and then it washes the dishes for you. We do have a dishwasher in our staff room at work. That is very handy because there's 25 of us making dirty dishes throughout the day, mugs and a few plates at lunch. So it is nice to have a dishwasher instead of someone doing the dishes by hand at the end of the day. This is a stove, and this is an oven. It's important, though, to recognize the difference. You cook something on a stove. Generally, you put something, let's see, like if you wanted to cook potatoes, you would peel the potatoes, put them in a pan of water, and you would cook them on the stove. If you want to fry an egg, you would fry an egg on a stove. If you're making bread, though, you would bake the bread in an oven. So notice you cook things on a stove, you cook things in an oven. Now, generally, people sometimes get confused because if a stove and an oven are part of the same appliance, you know how you can have the top is your stove top and then the bottom part is your oven. Sometimes people will just call that a stove. But to make it more, the most correct way is this is a stove. If you want, you can call it a stove top. That helps you to remember. And this is an oven, something that you cook or bake things in. An immersion blender. So this is a blender that you can stick into things. Usually people use this to make like cream soups. So if you're making like a butternut squash soup or a potato carrots, like cream of potato and carrot soup, you would probably use the immersion blender to mix everything together inside of that soup. This person looks like they're making a smoothie using an immersion blender. There's also something called a food processor. A food processor is a machine that has sharp blades in it that spin, and you use it to make different types of food. If you were going to make salsa or guacamole, you might make it in a food processor. You would put the avocado, if you're making guacamole, you would put the avocado and some lemon juice and some salt, and maybe some other herbs and spices. And then you would use it to chop up the food. We don't have a food processor. I wish we did. It would be handy for doing things like if you're making carrot muffins or something where you need to chop up a vegetable really finely, a food processor would be a great thing to have. And then there's the air fryer, which I think we've mentioned a few times during this lesson. You can use a deep fryer to fry things in oil, or you can buy an air fryer, which kind of does the same job, but just uses air. And the benefit is that the food is somewhat healthier when you are done. If you make French fries in a deep fryer, they absorb some of the oil that they are being cooked in or fried in. And so you end up eating some of that oil, which might make you gain weight. Whereas with an air fryer, there will be less oil. Now, the problem is French fries made in a deep fryer are extremely yummy. So we do like eating greasy, oily food. And food made in an air fryer is also yummy, but it doesn't have the same yummy taste. So an air fryer is used to cook things like French fries, or you can cook meat and other things in there as well. And it uses air and heat to cook the food. Hey, that's the end of the lesson. Let me get back to some questions. There are no more questions. That means we are done, which is probably good. I know that you were probably hoping for a full hour, but I think 45 minutes is probably a great way to get my feet wet again doing these English lessons. So thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure if you can still hear it in my voice, but I think I've used my voice enough for today. Luckily at work, I just have to sit in meetings all day. I don't have to talk. So I can rest my voice for the rest of the day. Again, no live stream tomorrow, even though it's the first Saturday of the month. I'm just going to relax a bit. I should have a new English lesson made for you by Tuesday. We'll see how things go. If you're someone who watches my second channel, I hope to get back to that over the next few days as well. But again, I'm just going to see how things feel. I don't want to overdo it. Anyways, thanks for watching this English lesson about kitchen appliances. I do have to mention, I'm pretty sure Brent from Speak English with This Guy is doing a lesson on kitchen utensils tomorrow. Where's my phone? Brent texted me yesterday and said, hey, you're doing appliances. I'm doing utensils. So I think that's on Saturday. So have a look over on Brent's channel if that is interesting for you. Half Yes says, wonder if garbage disposal under the sink is common there. It's not common where I live. But when I went to university in the United States, the house I lived in had a garbage disposal. Freddie says, please don't be political in the chat. Yes, we try to avoid politics, religion, topics that make people upset. It's not that we don't care, but we're here to just spend some time learning English. So thanks, Freddie, for that as well. P. Park says, thank you, no problem. Lolly says, thanks for the lesson. Thanks a lot, dear teacher from Cat Diary. Vitor says, take care. I will. And I'm just going to quickly say bye to everybody. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's stop talking. Thanks for coming. Thanks for learning a bit of English. And I'll see you next week with another lesson. Bye. Happy December, by the way. It's December 1st. Kind of fun. Bye, everybody.